So there's something pretty weird going on right now in Kentucky. There's this like religious revival prayer meeting that started a while ago, and it just didn't stop. People just kept coming in, and everybody's praying together and having a grand old time. So look, I believe in freedom. So you do whatever the hell you want to do. If you guys want to go there and pray and sing and reach to the sky and speak in tongues or whatever, hey, it's your prerogative. God bless. But what I find hilarious is the right-wing virtue signal over this prayer meeting. So I got a Ben Shapiro video for you, a Tucker Carlson video for you. Let's watch, and then we'll break it down as we go.
The church service never ended. It's still going on tonight. We told you about all this last night, and we interviewed the school student body president. After the show, we found ourselves still thinking about it. We didn't fully understand what was happening at Asbury, and we don't really understand it now. We're not sure anyone does understand it. But whatever is going on seemed wonderful. Seemed like the sort of thing we badly need more of. So we started making plans to go to Kentucky on Friday, tomorrow, to see the service for ourselves. And then this morning, a remarkable thing happened. We got a call from Asbury University asking us not to come. It's not personal, they said. They like our show. But the ongoing service at Asbury is purely spiritual. It's got nothing to do with politics or business. No one there is making money from it or planning a run for office. It's mostly just young people worshiping God, young people finding meaning and answers in a country that increasingly doesn't offer much of either.
Finding meaning and answers by going to a prayer meeting with a bunch of random people. You know, maybe you have a couple people there you know, but the overwhelming majority of these people you don't know. And they just go in there and sing and pray and hold their arms up to the sky. And they're finding meaning and answers. No, they're finding a distraction. That's what they're finding. They're finding false hope. They're finding a cult-like atmosphere. Now, again, they're not hurting anybody, so go right ahead. You know, do you. But let's stop pretending like, oh, an amazing thing happened, good sir. Okay, let's imagine for a second this wasn't a Christian gathering. Let's imagine same set of facts, except it's Muslim. Fox News be talking about it in this glowing fashion? No, I think they'd be like, it's kind of weird. That would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario would be like they're like planning a terrorist attack. Right? I'm on team kind of weird. It's just a little weird. That's all I'm saying. You know, you're there to worship your sky wizard, and these are the kinds of people who probably literally believe in a sky wizard. And it's like, okay, I'm just questioning whether or not this is a waste of time. Like, what's the actual purpose? Now, the answer is, guys, in all seriousness, they believe, you know, they want to find community. And that I'm in favor of. But it says a lot that this is where you go to find the community. Like, this is where you go to find it. There are better places to find community based around things that are more healthy for you, right? Like, shit, join a sports league. You know, that you're going to find community there, and it's going to be built around something fun and interesting and entertaining and something that is taxing physically, which could help you with exercise and whatnot. This is just, it's just silly. It's just a little goofy. That's all I'm saying. And I think Tucker, I don't think Tucker really believes this stuff he's saying. I think he's doing the right-wing virtue signal thing. Like, oh yes, faith is good. See, I'm praising these people who are praying.
It's not really a place for TV cameras. And we understood that. In fact, we deeply respected it. When you work in television, you run into a lot of people who want publicity. You almost never meet anyone who doesn't want publicity. And when you do meet people who don't want publicity, they're either doing something wrong or, in the rarest of all cases, they're doing something right. Something so right and so beautiful and so true that media coverage can't enhance it. It can only detract from it. We think that's what's happening at Asbury University. God bless them for turning us down.
He's so full of it. Oh, my God. If this was, imagine this was like a religion that is brand new. It was made up like last year. Somebody wrote some like sci-fi sounding type novel, and you got all these weird characters and all these magical powers, and for whatever reason, some people come to believe it is literally true. If those people got together in same set of facts, prayer meeting that never ends, everybody's singing, hands up in the air, yada yada, everybody would acknowledge, like, this is kind of weird. It's just weird. It's just a little weird. But you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that in this instance. Well, you are, and I am saying that. And I actually don't think my take is controversial. All right, so now Ben Shapiro, same sort of, this is right-wing virtue signaling 101. If left-wing virtue signaling is like, I have minority points, look at my pink hair, and I'm non-binary. Like, there is a left-wing virtue signal that's kind of, somewhat analogous. The right-wing virtue signal is like, I'm religious, or I think religion is good, and we should all get together in the middle of nowhere, put our hands up, sing, speak in tongues, and act like we're doing something serious and special and with deep meaning. No, you're just in a weird cult. Again, as long as you're not hurting anybody, it's fine. But don't get outraged when people correctly point out this is kind of silly, and you're just virtue signaling by acting like, yes, these are the real Americans, and this is very important. See, the thing is, they do not want you to organize around actual shared interests to improve the country. They don't want workers to organize to get higher wages. They do not want people to organize to try to get universal health care in this country. They do not want you to organize to try to end a war or stop the deregulation in the neoliberal era. They don't want you to organize to try to get a right to a job. Like, they want you to organize around sky wizards. Like, that's what they want you to organize around, All right, so now let's listen to Ben.
Time for some things I like and then some things that I hate. So things that I like today. There's been this amazing event that apparently has happened before at Asbury University. They had a 24/7 revival meeting. It's called the Asbury Revival. And it's drawn tens of thousands of people, like 50,000 people, to this tiny Kentucky town over the course of 13 days just to pray. It's not political. It's not like a big Trump event. It's not like a big right-wing event. It's just a bunch of people who came to a church. And then over the course of 2 weeks, essentially, they just prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. The fact that this is not drawn kind of intense media coverage is kind of shocking in the sense that it is a media story when 50,000 people descend on a very small town just to pray and find communion with each other and God. Like that's an amazing thing. I guess it's not that amazing the media won't cover it because if they had been doing 50,000 people arriving for a 13-day orgy, then the media would be all over it, right? Then the media would be like,
no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be casually talking about the giant orgy on CNN. What are you talking? Oh, he's trying so hard.
Like, this is what American society must be. When people show up to have some good, clean, wholesome prayer with one another and in conjunction with religion, that's a bad thing, and we can't really pay that much attention to it. But it is.
They're not saying anything about it. They're not. My guess is people in the media, if they cover this, they probably take the same angle as Tucker and Ben Shapiro. This is glorious and amazing. It's not at all strange. So what is he talking about? Religion gets treated with kid gloves in this country. And he's acting like the media would support, like, giant orgy tonight at 7. Like, no! What world is he looking at?
It's an amazing, amazing thing. And the footage from the Asbury Revival is incredible. According to Fox News, the Marathon Worship Service at Asbury University that has drawn tens of thousands of participants from across the country is now being forced to downsize because school officials are saying that it's causing logistical issues for the surrounding area. It's now going to need to move off of campus. The movement began after students actually refused to leave after a chapel service last Wednesday. The services have since grown to pack the school's chapel with worshipers from all over the country.
By the way, I love the title. This is one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen. Really? It's one of the most inspiring things you've ever seen. A bunch of randos getting together to pray and sing, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't end. Again, organizing around shared interests, organizing around higher wages, or paid time off, or ending wars, or universal health care, or even just organizing just for the purpose of improving your community, or fixing the schools, or again, even organizing around a frickin' sports league. Like, all that stuff is more interesting and more worthy to me than organizing around nothing. Around, we have our little cult, here's what our cult believes. Does your cult agree with our cult? If not, then you're the other. If it does agree, then okay, welcome. Again, if this was any other religion, there's over 4,000 religions. If this was any other religion, they would not be sucking off this thing this hard.
Now, apparently there is a history to this. There's a professor at Asbury who talks about this. Is a piece over Christianity Today talking about the situation over there. Apparently, students are required to attend a certain number of prayer services. It's a religious school. And this has happened before where people have shown up and then refused to leave because they were feeling the spirit so much. And here's how the professor describes it. Some were reading and reciting scripture. Others were standing with arms raised. Several were clustered in small groups praying together. A few were kneeling at the altar rail in front of the auditorium. Some were lying prostrate. Others were talking to one another, their faces bright with joy. They were still worshiping when I left late in the afternoon. And when I came back in the evening, they were still worshiping when I arrived early Thursday morning. And by mid-morning, hundreds were filling the auditorium again. I've seen multiple students running toward the chapel each day. By Thursday evening, there were standing room only. Students had begun to arrive from other universities: University of Kentucky, University of the Cumberlands, Purdue, Indiana Wesleyan, Ohio Christian University, Transylvania University, Midway, Lee University, Georgetown College, Mount Vernon Nazarene University, and many others. He said, some are calling this a revival. I know in recent years that term has become associated with political activism, but let me be clear, no one at Asbury actually has that agenda. Apparently, Asbury does have a history with revivals, including one that took place in 1905 and one in 2006, when a student chapel led to 4 days of continuous worship, prayer, and praise. It's, the fact is that religion requires community. One of the things that we have done by reducing...
Look, let's just say none of these people could have come to this place where they're running to the chapel to partake in this worship without being brainwashed. Now, you could argue, if I'm being kind, these people could argue, yeah, they were brainwashed into this religion and this ideology, but we think it's correct. Okay, but they did have to be brainwashed into it, right? Taught from when they were on their mom's knee, like, here's what you believe, here's the God you worship, here's what we teach, etc., etc. And so it's a weird flex to act like this is so pure and so wholesome and so organic. It's like, no, this required a lot of brainwashing to get to the point where they are. Now, again, on his point about community, he's going to say stuff that's true here, but it's like there are healthier kinds of communities to replace it with and not like weird, super religious ones.
Religion to spirituality is we've suggested that what religion really is about is your internal feeling of solidity with God. That is not really what religion is about. Religion does include that component, but that is not the entirety of religion. Religion requires you to commune with others.
It's so funny hearing him talk about community too, because his politics are anti-community and pro-individualist time and time again. He acts, I love community, I love community. Well, if you love community, you'd be in favor of unions. You'd be in favor of higher wages. You'd be in favor of universal health care, because why should the poorest guy in your town not be able to get care because he can't afford it? So politically, he's an individualist. He's only pro-community when it comes to religion.
It is why it happens in churches. It is why in the Talmud it says that God rests where there are 10 people, where there are 10 men praying together. That's you have to have 10 men to form a minyan, right, in order to do certain aspects of Jewish prayer for each prayer service. We pray 3 times a day. The idea that a community is built around a common cause is what has allowed the growth of civilization. So just evolutionarily speaking, human beings have a very hard time congregating above a certain number. If you can't have that many people on the same page without a higher cause. Otherwise, they tend to break down into tribes. They tend to break down into families. What religion did, historically speaking, is it allowed people to abstract up the chain, because now you can get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the same page because they were worshiping the same God and aiming for the same thing.
But again, any belief system can provide that sort of organizing principle. You could even have an organizing principle based off of exclusionary principles. And by the way, that oftentimes is what happens with religion. These people are all nice to everybody in the room praying with them, but if there's somebody outside like, hey, I don't believe in the stuff you believe in, all of a sudden they're the outcast, they're the bad guy, and they wouldn't be treated as nicely. So anyway, we can cut it off here. You guys get the gist of it. This is such a hollow, vapid right-wing virtue signal. I like religion. Religion is good. It's so inspiring to see these people praying all the time. Yes, yes. And it's like, any critique of this would be heresy to these people. So they'd see my segment, oh my God, he's such a dick, he's such an asshole, look at the stuff he says, he's anti-religious, he's a bigot against it, whatever. He would come up with all sorts of stuff, but it's like, I'm just stating the obvious. Kind of weird. I don't care what religion it is. It's kind of weird to have an endless prayer session organizing around something as hollow as like what your interpretation of what the supernatural is. There are many more grounded organizing principles, and any one of those is preferable to this. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.